Okay, everybody, it is October 5th, 2012, Friday, 9:25 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I promised y'all a third video yesterday, didn't I? Oops, shame on me. I had recorded a third one, and then YouTube said, oh, it's too long, you must monetize your video for publishing. And I didn't know what the hell that meant, because last time I checked I wasn't charged for, running a channel or whatever, so I was just like, no, I'm not going to pay for it, or something. Turns out they got this new thing where you can have your video upload, whatever it may be, have it littered with ads all over the frickin' place. Stop in the middle of it sometimes and play some little vote, you can change the world, or vote, vote, vote fucking thing, because the elections are next month. And basically just take your video and they want to cram it up your ass with ads. It's like, why? I mean, isn't there enough commercials on TV? Enough commercials on Hulu? The little ad thingy that pops up in the bottom that you constantly click down so you can see the whole entire video. I'm one of those people where I have to see the whole damn screen. If I'm looking at something, like even if it's minimized or if it's blown up on my monitor, I can't stand shit around the sides. And I don't know if I'm the only one that can't stand that. But obviously Google, YouTube, Murdoch, whoever the hell came up with the idea of, hey, let's have these little pop-up ads pop up here and pop up there and irritate the shit out of them, and so they'll click on them to try to get them to go away, and maybe they'll accidentally click them and open it up and we can sell them something. Ugh. Okay, because here's the thing. In my opinion, I think that capitalism likes to disguise itself as commercialism. But, yeah, so, the third one, I can't remember what I was going to talk about. I know I kind of went off on a tangent when I was recording the third one yesterday, and YouTube was all like, haha, too long, and refused to upload. Which I think is dumb. They should at least save it and have it locked private, and then you could go in and, like, either download it to your computer so you could chop it and make it shorter or something. I don't know. Maybe I just think too much. That could be it. Let's see. I left off, okay, when I was talking about my crazy life, I left off about how, Gus, God, he, it's kind of weird, okay, because, I didn't really realize the full extent of how psychotic this Gus person really was until a few months into dating Chuck, my husband now, because he's sitting right here, like that far away. It was kind of weird. I was working as a barmaid in this little dumpster dive bar that no longer exists. Surprise. And it was kind of weird because, I didn't mind my job. It was amusing to say the least, serving all these people. There was one that we used to call him Sleepy, because he would pass out at the bar. He would like order like 5 beers to be put, I can't remember how they used to, what they used to call it, like put on the, he'd put them on the tab. Like he paid for them, but he put them on the tab, and so, I'd have 5 of them, lined up, in the cooler, because he drank, I think, Budweiser. And I would line up, 5 beer caps. And so whenever he'd say, okay, how about my other one? I would take it, open it. I'd take the cap that I had lined up on the little tip, the little splashback tip. I called it the tip counter. It was the little lip of the counter that dipped below the regular, like, bar counter that people, would go like this and drink and watch the game or whatever. I'd take that cap off, throw that in the little thing that we would throw to keep track of how much was sold or whatever. I'd throw that back in that basket, and then his little cap I would put off to the side. And so after I got five of his caps lined up, and the rest of the caps that were on the tip counter gone, it was really fucking weird. That's how I kept track of shit, because I'm absent-minded. I have to actually have something visual to remind me of what I'm doing. And since being a barmaid, you multitask like a motherfucker, and especially in that place, I also cooked, which was terrifying because I, at that point, had never used a fryer before, and that was just intimidating as all hell. But I had survived, obviously. But, anyway, back to point. I didn't realize the extent of how just fucking crazy Gus really was, and his involvement in things, because I still really don't have a fucking clue exactly what he was involved in, and I probably never will. It'll probably always be something that I'll ponder in the back of my mind going, wow, you know, was I in danger of my life and didn't know it, you know? Because it's shit you only read about in books and watch Hollywood, you know, drama, psych thrillers, you know, which is like my favorite genre, but I don't like living the genre. I like watching it, that's it, you know? And I was at work one night, and you know, I was serving the usual crowd, you know, joking around with some people. You know, there was one guy that he'd come in all the time, and he'd say, "Hey, there's a quarter on the floor," and I'd be like, "Yeah, right. You just want to see my ass," you know. And it was just, you know, I got into kind of a rapport with some of the people. But there was a strange man who came into the bar. Had never seen him before. And he wasn't really dressed like real fancy, but he was wearing, you know, a Oxford shirt, regular pants, you know, looked like he'd just, you know, gotten done with work and saw this bar and was like, well, hey, this looks like a interesting watering hole, I'll check this out, even though you walk in and you're like, holy shit, this ain't a bar, it's a dump. You know, he came in, he sat down, and I walked over to him, and I was like, hey, hon, how's it going? And he was like, oh, I'm fine. I was like, oh. I said, well, what would you like, sir? He's like, well, and he listed whatever it was that he ordered. I can't remember what it was. I think it was like a rum and coke or something, which I thought was like very strange, because I was like looking at this guy going, okay, either you're going to order like a beer or a shot, you know, but ordering a rum and coke, it just was out of character. I can't remember exactly what he ordered, but it was something that I could make very quickly, and I made it for him, set it down, you know, took his money, put it in the register or whatever, and he, you know, slid a tip. I think it was like $5 or something. It was like a tip where I was just like, oh, I just gave you one drink, wow, you know. But he slid it over to the counter, and he's like, thanks, Jeanette. Now, I didn't wear a freaking name tag, you know. I was known as Nette, you know, to like everybody, still am. And when he said that, in my head, I'm like, do I have a name tag on? No. What the fuck? How does he know my name? You know, and then not long after that, you know, Chuck was telling me, you know, there's these cars that seem to be following us. And I was like, what cars? You know, because we were on foot. We didn't have a vehicle at the time, so we took buses everywhere, and et cetera, yada, yada. He was like, these cars. He's like, I don't know what they are. And I was just like, okay. You know, because I don't pay attention to traffic unless I'm crossing a fucking street. That's the only time I pay attention. I'm a pedestrian. I have yet to get my license again. Maybe someday, eventually, I will get over my whole fear of crazy fucktards being out there on the road, and I'll get my happy ass my license and, you know, drive my fat ass instead of walking everywhere. But until then, I'm on foot.
There'll be a crazy fucktard all over the road.
Shut up, Chuck. But anyway, so I was like, okay, I need to be more aware of my surroundings. I need to crank it up a couple notches and actually pay attention. You know, because I mean, I would pay attention, but it was more like I paid attention to what was going around in my peripheral and part of behind me and stuff like that. I would keep my ears peeled, you know, which comes in really good handy now that I'm a mom. But I decided, no, I'm going to actually take in everything around me and not let anything, you know, miss my line of sight or whatever. And so, you know, I'm walking to, I think I walked to like the dollar store or whatever that was around the corner. And, you know, I'm just walking into the store. I walk back out with whatever the hell it was. I think I bought like another pair of pants or something. I don't know, makeup or something. You know, and I walk to the library that was just, you know, again, right across the street. You know, everything was like relatively walking distance. You know, walked into the library, got on the computer even though I had internet at home. You know, for, you know, a half hour or so, and walk back out and you know, I just was like, I'm going to run a test. You know, and I'm just going to act as if, you know, I'm just out and about walking around, right? But what I did is I followed the same route for a couple of days. And then, after that, then I switched it and did a completely different route where I did the same things just in a different order and walked on a different side of the street, you know, mixed it up a little bit, but kept that pattern for a couple of days. Then I switched and did something else. And I started to notice that the same freaking car, you know, once they figured out, okay, we've got her identified, I guess, then they started tailing me. Now, I'm on foot. They could have easily just pulled my ass over, or they could have just pulled their asses over, thrown a couple quarters in the freaking parking meter, and then jump out and say, hello, you know, do you have any identification on you? And of course, you know, I have every right to be like, no, I do not. Who the hell are you? You know, you need to identify yourself. Who am I? Who are you? You know, because as an American citizen, that's my right. I don't have to identify myself for shit. You know, I could tell you I'm Susie Q Bonifa, you know, and you're gonna have to fucking take my word on it, because unless you have a legal obligation to know who I am, like either I am convicted of some crime or I'm a witness to some crime or something, you don't need to know who the fuck I am, and I don't need to know who the hell you are, you know. But still, you know, so they're following me, and they're trying to be all slick about it, you know. Like they'll park like, you know, a good couple yards away from the door, you know, and then to be sitting there, and I'm like, I'm looking, and they're drinking coffee, and I'm like, right, you could have just, you know, stayed in the freaking, you know, coffee shop and, you know, had your coffee in there, but you had to go. Okay, well, I'll let that go. Maybe that's just, you know, maybe, you know, those dudes didn't feel like, you know, I don't know, sitting in the coffee shop. Well, I don't freaking know. You know, and then I saw the same car, same people, you know, parked and just sitting there. You know, like they would either have something to eat, they'd have something to drink, or they would just be sitting there. You know, and I was just like, what the fuck? You know, because it wasn't the same guy that came into the bar, but it was similar looking people. Like, you know, they were dressed very similar. And when I looked at the plates, they were out-of-state government plates, and the cars were tinted windows, and they were either black or dark blue. And it was never the same car more than twice. And I was like, you know, this is just really fucking fishy. I can't figure it out. You know, and I was just like, I think I'm being followed by the feds. Now, what could I have done to have been followed by the feds? And that will be in part 4.